Welcome to the People's Guild with me, Wascal, and my co-host, B. Jangles.
We're a couple of Splinterlanders that love exploring all things Praetoria with a wide variety of guests from all across the community and Splinterlands universe.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode. This week, a little bit of a curveball being tossed your way to the listeners out there. We, as you have more than likely noticed, our artwork is alluding to a special guest by the name of Wascalwabbits. That's for the longest time he's been our co-host here at the People's Guild, and one of my great buddies, and kind of wanted to shed some light on what's going on with him and his life, and give him a chance to speak his piece. So. Welcome to the show, Wascal. It's been a while, bud.
Thanks for having me on. I thought for a moment you're going to say shed a tear.
That comes later, brother.
Yeah, just thanks for having me on. Just to let everyone know, I will be leaving the People's Guild currently due to work. My hours are going to be changing, and it's kind of pretty impossible for me to kind of continue like doing the podcast at the times. I'm going to be very busy, but yeah, hopefully it's going to be a good move, and something I'm going to be looking forward to if things work out the way I'm hoping. Got a big day tomorrow. So yeah. But yeah, and fortunately, our good friend Hep is going to be helping or joining the People's Guild, and I'm very appreciative of him doing that, stepping into the fold. So yeah, thanks a lot, Hep. That's great.
No, I'm honored, man. It's always great to be able to be on here, and really sad to see that you're stepping back. But I got some big shoes to fill. I'll try to keep your chair warm for you, and whenever you want it back, feel free to kick me out.
No. Yeah, I think I just want to kind of kick things off and extend my appreciation to you, Wascal. This whole project was a kind of a passion project of your own thinking, and I very distinctly remember our first couple of episodes and figuring out if this is something that we wanted to kind of pursue a little bit more regularly, and I think it's safe to say that it's grown into a passion project for both of us, and it's bittersweet for me 100%. You're one of my oldest buddies here in Asia. You introduced me to this game. You came up with the idea for the podcast, and aside from the chance to talk with some very cool community members throughout all of our episodes, it's a good weekly cadence to hang out with my good buddy. So that said, I am excited for you and what's to come in the future, and I know we've talked off air plenty about kind of some of the stuff that you're trying to solve with this job change, and I think I speak for Hep and the whole community listening and wishing you well, and hoping that this is a move for the best, and it allows you to achieve the kind of long-term freedom and yeah that you've been after. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. Really kind words. Yeah. This past year or more. Yeah. It's been amazing, man. Just big learning curves, met amazing people. And it's just, I think for me as well, just aside from, like you said, like hanging out with you and getting to work with you as well has been great. And also just, I think, not only, of course, and there's going to be a few big name drops here, like Yabba Matt and Aggie and Nate.
Who?
Like all those, but it's just, even just the just people like us finding out their life stories. That was one of my highlights as well. And just listening to their stories, I think everyone has a story to tell, right? And it was just, for me, just fascinating. I remember just like every time, just like leaving the pod and then just riding to work on my scooter, just buzzing because of the conversation. Yeah, I think conversation is some might say a dying art, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing when it flows. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, man. I think kind of reflecting on I think we certainly passed a year of the podcast, and kind of reflecting on when we decided to make the shift into season 2 of the podcast. I think we really kind of dialed it up a notch to focus on the guest and the guest story, and not so much focus on, Splinterlands always served as a platform to meet these interesting people from throughout the world, and giving each individual a chance to share their voice and their story is something where we, I'm really proud in the way that we've kind of shaped the podcast into to highlighting the individual and the individual's story. And it was certainly a byproduct of season 1, where we I think you'd be hard pressed to find a single episode where we didn't circle back to community, and community this and community that, and the fabric of the community, and all these different facets of the Splinterlands society that's kind of drawn us together. And season 2 was really, kind of honing in on that a step further, and trying to find interesting guests to kind of share their story. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun kind of growing the channel, the podcast with you, and hopefully Hep and I can do justice to what you and I have put together over the last year, and kind of carry the torch forward and share the mic with other individuals moving forward, and highlight stories, man.
Yeah. No, yeah. And how are you feeling about it, Hep? Are you what are you looking forward to?
Hold on, I am crying. So I am. Hold on, let me wipe my. I feel like no. Those are such kind words. That's great. No, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm talking the same thing you guys talk about. It's the same thing I love listening to every week. Not just hear people's takes on the games, but to hear people's life stories. So hopefully, yeah, I can kind of carry that forward, and still be able to have those great conversations with people in person, and throw my 2 cents in for what it's worth.
Yeah, I listened to the one with Darkest Night last week. That was really cool, man. Really nice, round table chat, right?
Yeah. I feel like Darkest Night did a lot of the heavy lifting there. So
yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen, but we've had a couple of comments on YouTube and Peaked that Darkest Night has subsequently and successfully triggered FOMO across the community once again. I think there were a couple of land purchases, and somebody mentioned that they had long been considering Lux Vega, and I think Hep and Darkest Night helped push that one off the ledge for them, and yeah, there may have been some more market moves as a result of that. So yeah,
wow. You guys all remember Jay Nix from Phoenix Risen? He said he put it on. He's like, "Oh, I listened to this thing for 15 minutes, and now I got to go buy a Zyrael." And I'm like, if you checked on some of the wild legendary cards that are on the market right now, those might be better pickups. So I think I talked him out of it, but he was ready to go grab one.
Boys, funny. All right, man. Well, Wascal, let's kind of lean into your perspective. It's been a big week, and I think it's safe to say that the community has responded in kind to a pretty earth-shattering announcement from Yaba, the SPS staking requirements for leagues. I think. Well, I'm not going to share my opinion. Let's hear what was your initial kind of knee-jerk reaction. Have you come back from that? Are you feeling like it was the right move? Are they the right numbers? How are you going to move forward with that? What's going through your mind, and what was your initial reaction there?
Initial reaction, just was just to listen to Matt and let him explain it to me rather than listen to Mav chat. I can't remember the first time. Was it? I think maybe in our little Discord, I think you dropped something saying about whether it, think about whether or not to continue with the game or not. So I was like, whoa. And then I kind of just looked into Mav chat and I just quickly jumped out of that. And then I don't know. I just have to, I think Matt will explain things in his way. And I since listened to Ganks and Walking Keys' stream. They were very positive. I just listened to a really good one with Hawks. Did you hear that one?
Not yet.
No. So, and I think I even spoke to you last night about it. I think, yeah, okay, it's not great. And for me to get my 100%, I would have to drop down to gold 2 from where I am now. Well, I can get up to champion. When I say I mean me and my good friend,
Bestie sidekick, professional.
Yeah. So yeah, currently I can get to. Okay, yeah, possibly gold 2. I'm a little bit below gold 2 to get it, but I just think just a bit of perspective. I think the SPS rewards will increase because there's that set amount that the game is giving out each month. People won't be getting the full percent. I just don't think, for me, SPS, yeah, I can imagine I will have a drop in SPS rewards, but one of my main concerns would be soulbound cards. I definitely wouldn't be able to, unless if I want to go, this is if I want to go back up to champion, right? But if I want to stay in champion, I can still get those. But if I were to go to champion, I saw like champion 1, I think I'd be getting 30% my current level. So I think reward cards could be an issue for me, but I think that would also make them more rarer, right? And more rarer is also a good thing. So as a whole, I think I'm fine. I think, like people have also been saying, like I think to get something out of the game, you also have to invest something in the game. And it's not, I've made that initial investment in cards. I know I have, and I've spent a lot, but for me to keep getting these rewards, I have to continue to, stake in the game. It's not even, that's still my money, right? But then you have to think about the longevity of the game. Like, and this is what I'm thinking and what people have to think. Do you trust in this game enough for it to be here if you buy SPS now at 2 cents, are you going to make a profit on that? Or do you think it's going to go down? If you think it's going to go down, you probably best not getting any more SPS, just riding it as it is. So yeah, as a whole, I'm quite positive. And, I'm definitely not a mathematician. I know people are not happy with the numbers, but I think, and I've looked at it this morning, there's definitely possibility for me just to keep adding to my SPS, and then I can get a high percentage rewards. So as a whole.
How about
you? Yeah, my initial reaction when I just saw the numbers in Discord for the leagues, it was, it was a pretty harsh reaction at first. I was very surprised. I was like, that's a little high. We always knew this was coming, right? And that's when I've been talking to people. That's my first kind of question to them is, how much did you think it was going to be? We always knew it was going to be something. It's something that SPS really needs. I think SPS needed something. We knew it was going to be this. I think people maybe thought it was going to be half of this. So I think my first reaction to it was after surprise was I need to, because I just saw that screenshot with the numbers. My second reaction was all right, I need to put the town hall on now. It was a little bit later in the day, so I was going to listen to the YouTube replay of it. Hearing Matt explain it sounded a lot better than just seeing the numbers. I think this is something we see from this team a lot, where maybe they're making the right decision, but it's initially being conveyed in not a great way. I think just having the numbers, that's what people are first seeing in their discords and stuff, right? Just seeing the numbers. So I think it seemed like a lot at first listening to them, and then seeing the spread where it's like, well, if you have half of that number, you're still going to get 80%. Django, as you pointed this out to us, you're still going to get, even half the SPS. Well, for the 100% requirement, you're going to be getting around 80% reward shares, which is pretty good. So I think it's the game needs it. They could have been messaged better, but that's always the case, it seems like. And maybe it could have been phased in where they said, all right, at the end of next quarter, we still have a lot of time, right? End of next quarter. But it could have been maybe phased in where they said, end of next quarter, it's going to be half of this or a third of this, and then slowly going to raise every few months or whatever, just to lessen the initial shock and give people a little more time to prepare. But I'm for it in general. Yeah. What did you guys think the requirements were going to initially be?
So Wascal and I had talked about this a little bit last night. I had always kind of assumed that a good kind of benchmark was based off of staked SPS for tournaments. You could see the increase kind of move in bigger and bigger leaps between leagues as you kind of went from novice tournament or bronze tournaments to champion level tournaments. And I think it capped out around, for a regular foil champ tournament, I think it's right about 50K. I assume that might be a little bit low. I was thinking probably 100 for max rewards in champ. But I was a little surprised that Yaba had, I think he was responding directly to a comment throughout the town hall. And Wasco, I know your ears peaked up at this as well. Yaba was asked essentially if using the tournament benchmarks had factored into the equation when coming up with the formula for 100% rewards requires XYZ staked SPS, and Yaba's response was something along the lines, I'm going to butcher the quote, but something along the lines of him being actually clueless as to what the tournament staking requirements were. And that's something that I found really interesting. As far as I know, Weirdbeard's promotion has pushed him more to the product table than the tournament and brawl side of the table, and kind of looking bigger picture stuff. So it's a little surprising to me that there was a not a miscommunication, but a missed communication entirely, and it's one that's been ongoing for, gosh, as long as I've been here. Those tournaments have had the SPS staking requirements. So that was a little bit interesting to me. But I'm right there with you, Hep. I felt my initial reaction was, holy moly, I don't know if I can afford to play this game. I've been pushing to achieve champion each season and have done so pretty consistently since, I want to say, December. So the better part of the last 6 months. Took me about a year to get there. And all the while I was kind of staking SPS and stacking SPS where I could. And I was pretty proud of the pile of SPS that I had accumulated. And actually, when we had end of season the other day, I had just crossed the threshold to 60K. And that was a big achievement in my mind. I felt like that was a kind of a landmark number. I'm 60% of my way to my first 100K. And when I saw those numbers flash across Discord after the town hall, I was just gut punched with discouragement. Like everything that I've been working for is actually just a drop in the bucket of what I actually need. But yeah, to your point, having looked at the kind of more detailed chart where it displays, 0% to 130%, 140% of your R shares, and what staked SPS requirements are for each kind of percentile, it definitely provided some relief. I can be at my current SPS staked volume and still achieve a pretty significant chunk of my overall R shares, which I felt better about. And Wascal and I talked about this a little bit last night, and after we got off the phone, I was thinking about it a little bit further. And we've heard Matt time and time again talk about how much of a gamer he is, how much of a nerd he is for this game. We saw him set aside his own personal interests for the benefit of the community with his decision to put a cap on the alpha beta legendary gold foils on land and what they can reap. Matt's interest is definitely 100% putting the community and this game's successability first and foremost. So if he feels like this is going to hamstring everybody, I would be really surprised if he pushed it forward. So I felt the full emotional roller coaster. Let's say that it was harsh numbers up front and a harsh reaction on my part, and I've since come back down to earth, and I feel like we've got to put faith in the squad for what they're putting out there, and hopefully it's the right decision. We'll see.
Yeah, like I said before, even that you said you might only get 80%, but that might, like, no one knows, that might be more than what you're getting now. Might be.
Also true.
I think we just have to just patience and wait whenever this comes out, and then maybe people can, start to kick up a fuss. I think the time to do it straight away. I think this is it's just evident why white papers should be read. And I'm guilty of this. Like, I am guilty of listening to people in YouTube because, like you say, Hep, like, what was I thinking? And I was just thinking what I've heard and what I had heard from people on YouTube. Like, people were just estimating, right? But it was a lot lower than that. So I thought I would be fine. But, it's I think people just have to take responsibility, right? Like, I should have, I have read that white paper, but that section was probably like flashed over because it wasn't down, coming soon, but it's my responsibility. I didn't check that white paper. And even that white paper, the numbers on the white paper, the numbers that came out yesterday are lower. So if you had read that paper and you were aiming towards a number, you'd probably be quite happy now.
Yeah, but I would ask you guys, had you read the white paper, would you have done anything differently? And I don't know that I would have. SPS has been on a somewhat downward trajectory since I came into the game. I have a lot more fun playing with the cards and playing tournaments and playing games and playing brawls than I do stacking SPS. SPS is a nice byproduct of all of those things, but at the end of the day, it's a video game, and I want to play the video game. So I don't know that I would have prioritized any differently. I think I still would have put cards first, as that's what opens up the fun factor for the game for me, and put SPS second. And now SPS being at pretty much all-time lows, I still don't know if I'm going to do anything differently. I'll just let it slowly accumulate. I'll toss some, if I get some extra DEC or some cards, something like that, I'll trade them in for SPS, but I'm not going to go out and back the truck up and load up on SPS. Had you had a chance to kind of think about that? Had you read the white paper and had you seen these numbers, would you guys have done something differently? Either of you guys?
I'll jump in, I guess. I think I probably would have not considered moving up to diamond as many times as I have, especially recently. I've talked to you guys about it, that I was considering trying to go up for a diamond champ, and I'm kind of close to actually what I have, so to where I need to be for gold, which is where I am and where I've kind of decided to stay for now. And that seems like a good decision just based on if I had started to make that transition, especially because we talked about this, I talked to you guys about this like a couple of weeks ago, right? 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, a month. If I had decided to start doing that, yeah, selling off some cards and leveling up cards and trying to make that push, and then I saw this, and I would have said, "Yikes, that was a mistake. That was poor timing again, as usual." Hepthorn. So that's sort of maybe that's where it's nice to have this requirement, and it's gonna, maybe force people to buy more SPS or hold more SPS. But is long term, is that, are you going to get that? Are you going to say, people like, I like the cards and I want to play the game, and I'd rather spend X amount on, getting to a gold deck or a silver level deck and just staying there because that's sort of where I won't, what I can afford, it now becomes part of that equation. And I'd rather get 100% at silver than 60% or 70% at gold. Yeah.
I think I personally would have done if it was easier to buy SPS like in game or like via Hive, using my fiat. Like, to buy SPS for me personally, it's just a pain. I have to kind of buy it on one platform, and then there's all those fees involved. So that's kind of just very off-putting for me. So, I would have loved to kind of like DCA in each month or something like that, but that wouldn't have been possibly anything related to anything to do with if I'd seen the white paper. But like, what about you though, Jangles? Like, if you had known that you would have your percentage would have been dropped to 80%, would you have done anything?
I don't know. So it's interesting timing. So Wascal and I, we talked a couple of days ago, and Hep, I don't think I filled you in on this yet, but I made the decision to sell my node license, and the thought process behind it. Shout out to Dwayne. He kind of turned me on to the idea. Infidel. So we were both, Wascal and I, we went on a node on the pre-sale, managed to get one, and then we bought a second one a few months later. And I think at the peak we spent maybe 18,000 SPS.
Because you bought during the second one you bought was during the Rift Watchers pump, right? Where
correct.
SPS kind of a little bit.
Yep. And I think we dropped around 18K SPS. Well, the math, and since then I've gotten a full nodes payout of SPS daily since then. And that breaks out to, I think it's 7,300, give or take a few, SPS per year per node. So coming up on a year, I would have paid, a net of around 12,000 SPS, and I sold for about $800, which in Hive current value gets me about 35,000 SPS. And I did this not knowing that this announcement was coming. This was just personally, I wanted to, add to the bag of SPS and have some tokens in game to kind of, some fun money, whether that's going to go to Zeriel or, it's a Hive Power or some packs or whatever. I was personally looking to take advantage of, the decreased SPS price and overall volume that I could get in return for selling the license. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know that I would have done anything differently. Looking at the math, I did some rough math yesterday, having looked at the table, and I would essentially need to have equal investments in SPS and my my card collection, which is kind of absurd to me.
At current SPS value, you mean?
At current SPS value, it's pretty comparable. It's not. It's more along the lines of a 60-40 split. And mind you, my card collection is almost entirely Chaos and Rift Watchers. But that's a pretty, for a video game to require the token side of the investment to be damn near equal to the actual video game part is a little absurd to me. But is what it is, and I don't know that I would have done anything differently. But what it really makes me think about is, we do all this in the name of SPS, and suppose SPS goes up to 3 cents, 4 cents, 8 cents, 10 cents. How high are we setting the gates for new players to come in and play and earn? I know these numbers are rough estimates. They're subject to change. And maybe Yappa's got, kind of a formula in place in mind to kind of adjust ongoing and make it kind of a dynamic SPS stakes requirement given SPS prices. But that's purely conjecture. What do you guys think about kind of the long-term scalability of these staking requirements as they pertain to new players coming in? And is that a significant turnoff, do you suppose? Is that something that's going to just shut people out and push them away from the get-go? But what do you guys think?
I think I don't see why it should. I think just if people can come in here, like, you don't need any staked SPS, right, to play. You can still play. But I think I mentioned this before in Discord as well. Why did so many people initially come into Splinterlands? It's because, not because of the game, it was because they saw all these YouTube videos. I'm earning $20 an hour playing SPS. I think that was like the big pull for lots of people. Like, for me, it was a little bit of that, but also I just got interested in NFTs. So it's going to happen in the next bull run, right? People are going to be looking for these games that are going to be, making them a quick buck, because that's all it is, right? That's why, a big majority of people heard about Axie Infinity, Splinterlands. But at the same time, maybe the team don't want that to happen again? Maybe because it just, and I don't know the numbers, but it kind of just, it messed up the whole ecosystem, right? Like, just everything just went haywire. So, like, if people are not promised this earning potential by playing Splinterlands, then I can't really see a large number of people entering the game. And those that do enter the game possibly will do it thinking about the long term, but then you really have to research the game, right? It's like anything, like if you're investing in Bitcoin, there's the people who just buy Bitcoin because they see it going up, or there's the people who really research it and know what they believe to be the long-term value of it. But I don't know. I think that's definitely a bridge that the game is gonna have to cross. But if people are not earning that initial, that big bucks at the beginning, you're not going to get the numbers that were arriving last time.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. I think if that's true, and the big draw is people being able to play and earn money, then losing the floor of 2 cents eventually. We see Saltbound seem to have found a good floor there. Even when Bitcoin took that dip the other day, I was kind of watching like, oh, is SPS going to go under 2? And I didn't see it that it did. if that just kind of peters down and dies, it's just becomes another failed play to earn game.
Mm.
That was an interesting experiment, and a bunch of people probably, invested money in and played, and some people made some money and some others didn't. But they're in the next bull run, there'll be other games out there that you'll be able to get a more of a return on, because that'll be the new hit thing, and it won't have that long history of price pressure on the token being out. I mean, we see this with every play to earn game that comes out that recently, or the tokens start out higher and start to go lower and lower. You get those people who are investing heavily, kind of supporting that ecosystem, hoping that they can get a quick return out of it, or a good long-term return out of it, whatever they're looking to do. But the price of those tokens starts to go down. If Splinterlands, instead, when we go into the next bull run, is one that the token price has already hit its floor and has started to go up even before the bull run started, and there's this requirement that helps give a utility to actually do the token, so you're not just giving out a ton of it all the time to everybody for no reason. And we've got land coming out, and we got all these other things, and that makes Splinterland a more attractive option than the game that's going to market itself as, hey, we're going to be the next Splinterlands, and we're in alpha and beta packs, and look what happened, to Splinterlands then. So I think that it's a necessary. I don't even want to call it an evil. I think I've been wanting a utility for Splinterlands or for SPS for a long time, and this is what they said it was going to be, and it's here, and we'll have to adapt. I mean, I think also, like, try to think about it in a positive way as well, where we're lucky. We got to play the game and get all these rewards, and not have to have that requirement. I know I'm obviously not the first person to say this. I've seen this, like, new people coming into the game. This will be all they know, and they'll just think this is how it is. And for a long time, people would rent. We saw a little bit. It was more prevalent, I feel like, before the split with Modern and Wild, but people would rent max level rewards cards just to have the collection power to be able to play
Yeah.
enchant, right? And that was a big thing. People were, a guy in Phoenix Arcade was constantly buying up Pelacor Conjurers, and I was like, why are you buying so many of these cards? And that was before we knew they were going to stop the print. We got, the printing of them early. I'm like, there's so many of these cards. No one's ever going to want this card. It's like this is the return I'm getting renting these max level cards. For people who just need it for collection power. And so you kind of always had to do something extra, maybe besides just your deck, unless you spend a lot of money on your deck. So I think that kind of, we're going to see a lot of those cards go to land probably too. So let me ask you, I wanted to ask you guys, Wascal, you said that you could get full rewards in gold 2, was it, I believe? What would your interest be in renting SBS, and sort of kind of in that line, have you looked at, like, what your returns are on a season by season basis by being up in Diamond 1 or champ wherever you get to, and how much of those rewards would you be willing to spend to rent SPS to be able to stay there instead of moving down to gold?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think definitely I would still I would pay to rent that SPS for sure. I think just I didn't have a great EOS haul this month. Ben beat me with his bronze chest, but I think as a if you balance it out over the whole year, I think it's got to be worth it, right? I think because I've got the cards, right? If you've got the cards and all that I'm missing is that stake to SPS, then for me, that's what I would do, because the rewards there far outweigh what I would be getting in gold, right? I believe. I haven't done the maths, but it should do, right? It should do, the amount of SPS.
Yeah, I can tell you. So, I'm in gold, and I probably get, I'm not sure how many gold chests I'll get through the season, but I get, usually around between 50 and 60 diamond chests in my end of season chest. And I looked on Splex today. Wascal, I didn't look at yours. I looked, preparing for this episode, I looked at my sort of what I've been averaging out over the last couple seasons, and I think it gets to be about $12 a season. And now that's just the SPS and the packs, right? They're not calculating cards, card values, potion values, or merits. So
It doesn't calculate potion values.
I don't think it does. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So taking those, so that's just SPS and packs. So that's that's a pretty decent amount. I looked at Jangles and his was like you're averaging like $70 to $80. I don't know if you looked at this recently. Sorry, I don't mean to blow up your spot, but it's all public knowledge in the blockchain. So you're getting like $70, $80 a season in all your chests. I think one season where you're probably buying a lot of you were up to like $100 in your season a few seasons back. So that's a season, right? So we get 2 seasons a month. That's a pretty good return on investment on your cards. And to me, I feel like if I had to, I'm getting $12 a season. If I had to pay half of that, so $5 a season, $10 a month to rent my SPS, that's still it's not terrible. And looking at that, then that you look at, well, you're going to pay like $10. So 50,000 SPS is about at like 2 cents. That's we'll use easy round numbers. At 2 cents, that's like $1,000. So now I'm starting to look at it this way. If someone would pay me, $10 a month on that, $1,000 investment, that's not bad. That's what, a 1% a month, which will be on top of what you get from staking and vouchers. This is not financial advice. These are just numbers I've calculated, right? That gives you an extra 12% a year on your SPS investment. I think that seems like a reasonable, and maybe renting SPS will be even cheaper. Maybe it'll be even easier, right? But I think it kind of that could kind of be its ceiling. It's going to kind of be limited by how much people are getting in rewards, because if you probably want to try to aim for that, at most that 50% split. You probably want to do a little bit less than that, right? So this might be on the high side. And yeah, so I mean, if you're, what is it for the, let's see, what would that work out to if you had to do, yeah, I mean, if at 0.2, it's like $8,000, right, for 400,000 to be in Champ One. So, yeah, would you pay? Yeah, and then would you pay $80 a month, which is, basically half your rewards if you're not even counting the cards, right? The cards maybe you'll someday be unlocked. You'll be able to unlock them and they'll have value up there. So if you start to look at the numbers, it stinks that people would have to do this, but it's just, if you kind of look at it that way, it just looks at it's going to decrease your return on your investment of your cards, but it's going to increase your return on your investment for people who have SPS, which again might make SPS more attractive. And like you said, when we get that next bull run, that might make the game more attractive to new players.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, and I hope, I'm assuming that rental SPS will be available as this whole staking requirement is rolled out. I sure hope so. But looking, I think
they have to do that first, right? They have to do that first.
I would hope so. Yeah. But looking at the cost to rent that SPS, it's also really important to note that that's assuming your card collection remains the same. We're not getting another full set until Rebellion. So any subsequent investment into the game, it's not necessarily required if you're satisfied with your current card collection, if it keeps you in the league that you aspire to compete in. So my account, for example, I don't plan on investing significantly into any other cards until possibly Rebellion at the earliest, maybe if one of these promos, we've got a couple more promos coming out before the end of the year. But
is that
otherwise,
but you're pretty maxed out already, though, right?
Yeah.
What more investing you can do?
I mean, there's always Untamed and Dice
okay.
and all that other stuff. But for the most part, I think I'm just going to leave it alone. But what I was going to say is that my cost to rent that SPS on a season by season basis should be decreasing, right? If I'm adding, maybe 1,000, 2,000 SPS to my pot every season, every 2 seasons, eventually I'll get there. It's an uphill battle, but your cost to rent should decrease. And just a side note, I was kind of looking in the background. This time yesterday, we had 566 million staked SPS, and there's been a few more millions stacked onto that total staked pile, which is, that's the response to I have to assume that the leadership team is hoping to see. So people are locking it up, and there's hopefully some of that sell pressure is starting to be relieved.
Yeah, to be honest, I tried to buy some SPS yesterday, but I'm not able to. There's a problem with Swap Hive. I'm not able to buy any Swap Hive for some reason. I don't know if you guys have had any problems. So I'm trying to kind of make a few moves, but just something is stopping me from buying Swap Hive to convert it into SPS.
I've heard people having issues with Hive Engine and tribal decks the last couple of days.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it today. I just kind of looked at my wallet this morning and this evening, and everything seemed to be there that should be there. So, but I've heard that people have been having issues. I'm not sure what's going on though.
But yeah, as well, Heb, you made a great point as well about this is the utility that people have been moaning about, that SPS hasn't, it's got no utility, but this is a great utility that it's got meaning, it's got purpose, and whether or not people take advantage of it or just stake it or feel they need to buy more, the feeling I get if you kind of listen to people is that lots of people are just going to be leaving the game. But I don't know, like do you guys think this is going to cause a considerable amount of people to leave the game?
Yep.
That I'm hearing that from a lot of people. I'm trying to offer counterpoints to anyone who wants to have that discussion with me. I think, especially like I said, until you know what the requirements for renting SPS are going to be, we don't really know how big of a challenge it is going to be. I think this is a gut reaction by a lot of people, and I understand that. And people can feel kind of beaten down, and I know a lot of people invested a lot of money in a lot of cards, and their sort of initial reaction just seeing that. I know so many people said, well, now my diamond deck, now my champion deck is a silver deck, now it's a gold deck, now it's a gold 3 deck, and then I think that's people's gut reaction just seeing the chart initially with just the numbers, and it looked like it was hard caps. I mean, you put them right next to the ratings, which are hard caps. So again, I'm just coming back to that, having that image ever being made, let alone the first piece of visual information that's presented to the users on this change was just the wrong decision. And then my understanding is that other chart that's going around is Matt went into Mav chat and just threw the algorithm in there, and then somebody had to take it and then build this chart to show what the distributions were going to be like. This should have always been what we saw, so it would have, people would have understood it a little bit better. But yeah, I get that's some people's reaction. I think, yeah, you're going to lose players. It's, Also see a lot of people who are saying, hey, if you're leaving, if you have, alpha, beta, or untamed cards or alpha, beta cards, contact me and we can discuss me just buying them in bulk off of you. I mean, there's people who are going to take advantage of this opportunity. If card prices go even cheaper from here, people are going to be buying up cards. I will see if I can avoid the temptation. I probably won't be able to. So it's going to be going both ways. I think you are going to lose people. How many, and whether those people regret walking away now. We'll see. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, maybe you lose so much of the player base that thing in the game just starts to crater. But I don't really see that happening. I think if people are considering that, I'm trying to say, hey, rent your deck out and see where it goes. You can always rent your deck out, get some money out of it if you want to put the game down. I mean, if you want to sell, you go ahead and sell. Rent your deck out, see what. Maybe you might see like, oh man, I can actually get a really good return on just renting my whole deck out, and see what happens there, see what happens with card prices, see what happens with being able to rent SBS for when that goes live. Yeah, that's I want to know, Jangles. What do you think? What are you hearing? What's the people on the street talking about over in the YGG guild?
Yeah, it's been pretty similar reaction. A lot of folks are pretty up in arms. It feels like it's there's no better term for it, for a knee-jerk reaction, and that's good or bad, for better or for worse. That's how this community responds. That's how we react. Thinking back a few months ago when the team announced that the Soulbound, or excuse me, that the previous era of reward cards was getting cut off. Pretty much on this day, the market immediately responded in kind, and some of those prices just flew to the moon in an instant's notice. Looking at land, the same thing. As soon as that white paper came out, all of a sudden there was not a gold foil legendary to be seen at that $20, $25, $30 price point that we had grown so accustomed to seeing something like a Heartclaw or an Oshanis sitting at. And the pendulum's swinging the other way with this one. It's just a reaction, and I think cooler heads will prevail. I 100% agree that Yaba and Co should have taken the time to present and demonstrate a better visual aid to assist the explanation of this new staking requirement, because you're absolutely right that number being associated with the leagues, even though there's no, you can have a champion 1 level rating and still be in diamond, for example. So there's not really a correlation outside of what kind of chests you're earning, but just the visual was a poor representation of the reality. Hopefully over the next couple of days, we've got some pretty sharp content creators. We've got some guys, I'm looking forward to Tails coming out with a hard explanation of this stuff. He's a super analytical mind and does great work with numbers and kind of provide a balanced bit of reasoning and logic to, either justify or go against the company's decision. We've got Walking Keys and Gank. Shout out to those guys at Splinterlands HQ. They're hosting Yaba, I want to say, in the next couple of days, and I expect this topic to kind of be forefront of conversation for those guys and really get a chance to kind of flex the formula and why this works. Is my full expectation to come out of that interview, and I hope that cooler heads prevail. That we've built a pretty cool community over the last couple of years, and I would hate for Wascal, you called it out exactly what it is. We've been calling for SPS utility since the dawn of time. It's finally here, and people are up. I think we just can't satisfy everybody. Exactly. Hopefully cooler heads prevail is my hope.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just like last week it was the bots. Now, no one's talking about the bots, and now it's just like it's just like a never-ending soap opera. I don't know if you guys are probably a bit too young for Dallas, but Jesus, man, just like every week just ends in a cliffhanger, and I'm sure no one's coming back from the dead. But I think also it just brings up the point, like, and also we're kind of not privy to what Matt and the team are really thinking, but I think it's just building stronger foundations for the game. That's the impression I got from the town hall and listening to, like, say, Hawks this morning. Shout out to Hawks, really good video, and he really breaks it down. But it just feels that they want to make the game stronger, because if you just have a game that people are just coming in, all they want to do is just milk it. It's got no sustainability, right? So what you have to prevent that. Like the people are talking about bots are going to be, not as prominent in the game as they are now because of this, and that's a good thing, right? People have been complaining about bots for just forever, and I just feel now that this is something that the team, especially Matt, has put into place, where they are thinking about the long term, and they want people to be in this game for the long term. Land, Matt mentioned it with Land. This is a long-term play. You're not going to come in and just make your SPS. You've got to build from the foundations. And this is possibly the steps they have to put in place for the new players as well. New players shouldn't just come into a game and just earn instantly. If you want to earn, you've got to kind of invest in the game. That's what my takes are from this. I don't know what you guys think about it, but
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting when you talk about the bots. It made me, kind of think of something that Jangles, you touched on a little bit earlier, that the SPS available for ranked play might go up if people have bots they don't have any staked SPS in. Those, you're not going to really get any R shares. So you're going to have something, right? You're going to want to have something at least. But even if you still want to run them at 10%, 20%, that's 20% of all those accounts. That's 80% more SBS in the pot for everybody else who is kind of more invested in the game. So yeah, maybe value of SPS goes up. You start to get more of it in rank rewards, and I think you could see people see this in a really positive light. A few 6 months from now, a year from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of if there was, we've had some really big developments, economic developments over the last year. The restructuring of rewards and introduction of reward shares, and the multipliers that have been attached to chests and all this stuff. And I don't remember one that's stirred up a reaction quite like this. But I think it's also important to remember, we're still very much in the depths of the bear, right? And it's an emotional thing for folks to be. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster the last couple of months. Once the land white paper came out, everybody started seeing their card collection values grow. And then the past few weeks, that all of that was added over the previous couple of months has subsequently been erased, and we're at prices lower than we were before the land white paper. So I think folks are probably just feeling a little bit emotional, and this is one additional, quote unquote, investment fee that's required to earn at full capacity. So, if the business gets humming and asset prices start going up and things start clicking and we start seeing new players come into the game, we're not going to be hearing any of this noise. Everybody's going to say, hurrah for Matt's financial economic decisions to bring this into the game. But yeah, it's just a product of the times. It's a tough situation for everybody, and it's yeah.
But I can definitely feel for some people. Like me personally, I've invested a lot into this game. Good few $1,000, probably close to 10, I can imagine. And definitely I can understand where people are coming from. If you've invested $10,000 into a company, you are hoping for a return, right? I would imagine. I'm sure, unless you're daddy big bucks and you don't really care and you just want to play the game, like, then no problem. But I think the majority of people would like to see a return in their investment. So in that respect, yeah, I definitely can feel the salt, and hear the salt and understand the salt. But I just think, and thinking about it since we've been talking, it's something that the team felt they had to put in place to help the game be stronger, and just for these new players coming in, that they have a base to work on and work towards. But whether or not we get those players is another question.
I agree. I can. I can. I don't know if I can hear the salt or smell the salt, but I can certainly taste it, Wascal.
Yeah, I was there strumming for some descriptive word. Taste, feel it.
I wonder if I'm thinking a few months down the line, and Battle Pass is a big piece that I think everybody's looking forward to. It's going to introduce some new kind of points of strategy, some skins, cosmetic stuff, titles. There's all sorts of cool stuff that I'm sure Weirdbeard's cooking up. I wonder if for new players, if part of the Battle Pass is, hey, we will allocate enough SPS for you to compete at XYZ league, and just make it like a one-click stop for new players. Because I feel like that, thinking back to my initial few weeks in the game, there's just so much kind of thrown at you. It's a little bit overwhelming to which cards to buy, which cards to rent, which league should I be going after, which summoner should I be looking into, yada yada. And now to compound that even further with, you need this volume of SPS staked into your account to start earning. I wonder if this is something that's kind of crept into the purview of what a battle pass can encompass for new players is an allocation of SPS for a certain period of time.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I haven't got any experience with battle passes. But like for you, if you were going to design the battle pass, like how would you design it, Ben?
I think we've talked about kind of what that ideal new player experience would look like, and I think Hep, you and Darkest Night and I kind of scratched the surface a little bit last week as well. I feel like removing as much confusion and complexity to really allow and enable new players to sink their teeth into the game as quickly as possible is paramount, right? That's absolute necessity. So if I could hop in, spend $10 for a battle pass, it gives me a battle pass for the next, I don't know, month. So I get 2 seasons. I get all of the cards allocated to me. I get SPS staked in my name or delegated to me, however that works. Plus the opportunity to earn a little bit on the side and kind of invest into subsequent battle pass purchases. I feel like that's kind of the name of the game is one click and you're set up from a mechanics perspective. Now all you got to do is go play the game and kind of explore and learn. That's my take. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's important. That's a great point. I feel like in Discord almost every few months you got to explain to someone what Hive Engine is, right? And I probably played the game for 6 months before I looked into Hive Engine and realized I had Hive Engine, right? So yeah, it's hard with you're trying to attract players. And to me, one of the reasons I started playing the game was to learn more about crypto and to do more of this stuff that was a little more complicated. And it just takes a while to learn everything. but yeah, to those people who maybe aren't familiar with crypto at all, yeah, you can rent cards with credits. You know, you can get your Summoner Spellbook on your credit card. You can get credits on your credit card to rent cards, but you can't buy SPS that way. So
Mm.
they're gonna have to do something, whether it's delegations from the team, whether it's something the DAO, they get the DAO to step in to do. You know, because the DAO's probably just got a big pot of SPS somewhere that, you know, if they could find a way to delegate from that, do something, or even just make it so it's that sort of thing is turned off for a new player for the first month or something like that. We talked about this last week. It's the 9 days, those 9 days. So maybe give them 2 weeks or a season, like you said, or maybe a month, where you're able to kind of turn that off. There's got to be something, because it's otherwise it's again, yeah, it's just that's just another barrier to entry that's going to be difficult to overcome for people not just thinking about spending the money before you even know if you really like the game, but just even the complexity of getting the SPS and getting it into Splinterlands and getting it staked.
Mm. Wascal, thinking back to kind of your early days in Splinterlands, what would have been nice to have, kind of from a guidance perspective from something like a battle pass? Don't buy this $50 Oceanus.
Disclaimers.
Hey, I wasn't one of those people, all right. I think you know what probably kept me in the game at the beginning was one of the factors was that I got dropped a gold foil Heartclaw in one of my chests in the first few, and that was like $120 at that point. So that was like, ching, this is what, give people little sweeteners like that. I think wouldn't go amiss. But I don't know, man. Like if I think back, I really can't remember my early days. I just remember I was just probably a stubborn old goat. I was just like, just so determined to.
You're selling yourself short, Kieran.
I was just like so determined just to win the computer that I just probably just I can't. I would love to go back and check my my first week of battles and see, because I can't have been winning that much. I think what just kept me was just the because I kind of coming from crypto, right? So I was just interested in the NFTs and the fact that these cards could rise in price and lower in price, and just invest in them. I think I was just really interested in that. I think the game was a bit of a side product, but yeah, I think definitely. Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting now, right? Because if the bots aren't going to be so prominent, but I suppose people are still going to keep their X bot, their just one, or the alt account. But for the new player, I wonder if it won't be so intimidating. I think definitely that they need tutorials, right? I think I was just thinking then about what you guys were saying about what Matt was dropping yesterday. If they had just dropped a video, like a 5-minute video, and explained it, proper, like you can make these videos quite quick. You can even like get people to, that app where they draw it, just really explain it and drop that to the community before the town hall. Just give them a bit of a heads up, explain it properly, and then Matt can like go deeper into it. But yeah, I think definitely that you need videos. You need to explain like positioning and explain certain cards. Probably not even overwhelm people. You don't, not just use certain abilities and then work your way up. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. Tutorials, and not just overwhelm people with all the abilities. Because now, since even when I was coming into it, yeah, there's much more abilities, right?
Do you think that if staked SPS was a requirement when you first started playing, how would you have felt about it? Would you have kind of balked at the game and looked for something that was a little bit easier, or would you have given it a shot? Tried to.
Well, that's why one of the reasons I chose Splinterlands as well, because it was so easy to get in there. You could buy the spell book. I must have used my credit card to buy the spell book, and then you're just good to go, right? You could use all the other cards. The cards were there for you, so there was no barrier. But yeah, if it were, it's a great point, and this is something they do have to deal with. Like, how would the new player do that if you're not bang into crypto? You don't know how it all works, and even if you do know how it works, even buying SPS is not the easiest. So yeah, for sure, that would have been definitely a stumbling block.
Well, it was also a very different time in the life of SPS, right? The airdrop was just getting into full swing when you came in, Wascal, and SPS had to be much closer to $1 than it's been in a really long time. So yeah,
man, I was selling my SPS every day and leveling up my deck. I was getting like $10-20 nearly every day at one point. It was mental. So I was just one of those people just selling it, but it was just, I just didn't understand long term the value of the SPS. You know, this is like nearly 2 years down the line, but the value, the utility that was coming to SPS. But I still, in hindsight, buying those cards was great and something the new player definitely won't have. But yeah, that's as I was saying before. I don't think promising all these promising people that they can earn X amount is good for a game. You know, like we've seen it with Go, right? It's people were just like bleeding that mother dry. Like the first early weeks, right? People were making their fortune. Oh,
not anymore.
A lot of money. Well, this is what games have to do, right? Like people would just come into this game like to milk it. Like that's not great, and that's what people were doing with Splinterlands at the beginning, right? And now that honeypot is drying up, people are probably not. People are just not, or they feel that the honeypot is drying up.
Yeah, that's a really great point. You know, I think, you know, you guys both touched on it a little bit earlier, and both of you guys came into Splinterlands prior to me making an entrance. But that last bull run, the type of quote unquote player / investor that was attracted to the game, that's not what we want moving forward, right? I would be really surprised if the majority of those folks were, you know, Splinterlands was well in the rear view for most of those folks that entered Bull Run 2021. And yeah, the game was ill prepared from a technical standpoint, and the card market was not prepared for that. Hence the 15 million packs of Chaos Legion and the massive print runs of those reward cards. And then we entered into the bear market and saw a lot of those folks exit. But over the last year, the dev team has really shored up the what's the word? Tech modernization has really been a kind of at the forefront of a lot of the dev updates that we've seen in the last 12, 14, 16 months in preparation for that next bull run to be able to support, have an infrastructure that can support the masses of people that hopefully do come, and moves like this from an economic standpoint to support those technical adjustments should help to attract the quote unquote more correct for the community type of player / investor. They might not come in droves, but if the main attraction is the game and not the quick dollars, hopefully we're able to build upon what we have been building, and it turns into something successful. What do you think, Hep?
Yeah, again, I keep coming back to I feel like the game is going to go nowhere if SPS just continues to fall, right? So
Yeah.
whatever we can do to get that up, it's probably um, for the game. I don't want to say this. I don't want to sound very crass. For the game long term, is it more important for them to find a utility for and get SPS price kind of up, or even if it's just stabilized for a while? Is that more important to the game long term than the people we will unfortunately lose because of this change? It's a tough decision, but that's why the team is in those leadership positions to make that hard decision. And one thing I think of too is that I think it's great that people have the option. I want to say, if they're upset by this and they say, you know what, I'm getting out. I'm either cashing out or cutting my losses or breaking even or whatever you're doing. That's an option you have. There's changes to Web 2 games, maybe not something like this, but there's drastic changes to Web 2 games, and people say, well, I invested all this money, and you're doing all this. I don't have a say in it. There's nothing we could do about it, and it's just kind of ruined it for me. And now all that money is just gone. It's great that you have the option to say, I'm just going to sell all my assets, be able to sell your assets and get something for them, or say, I'm just going to rent everything out then. And see what that gets me for a couple years. Maybe if you have some SPS saved, but it's not enough, and you say, all right, I'm just going to rent out my deck and rent my SPS out to people. Let's see what kind of return I can get off that. It's nice to have that option is also kind of a luxury in gaming. That's what attracted me to Splinterlands as well.
Yeah, I think also we also should actually zoom out, because I was just thinking then, when we're talking about the longevity of the game, like Nate mentioned in that interview that the actual game that we're talking about now is going to be such a small element to the whole Splinterlands ecosystem. So maybe we shouldn't just be so focused on this and just zoom out and look at what other things the team is developing. And I know people love the game and care about the game, and people will still have the option to do that. But now I'm just thinking, and you mentioned it before as well, Ben, I don't think Matt would have done this. Like, the only reason why Matt and the team have made these changes is for the good of the game and to the longevity of the game. So yeah, I think there's going to be lots more things coming down the line, like you say, land, battle passes, different game modes, and even land is going to just open up so many possibilities that in 1-2 years time, hopefully this will just be, just something we laughed about why people were getting so annoyed about.
You chose the nice adjective, annoyed. I think there's definitely some more extreme emotions than that, but well, good. Hopefully this discussion and all this stuff helps to wrangle folks in and bring them back down to earth. If you guys do have any questions, I would suggest hopping on into the live platform or live forum, I should say, that'll be hosted on Gank and Walking Keys over at Splinterlands HQ with Yaba in the next couple of days. I'm sure Yaba would be happy to field some questions, and I'm sure Walking Keys and Gank would appreciate the patronage and helping to spark the conversation. Yeah, cool, guys. Is there anything else that you guys kind of took away from the town hall? There was, that was a 20-30 minute blip on a 2-hour show, and there were some other things that were kind of brought up and shared with the community. Was there anything else that kind of piqued your interest?
Yeah, guilds. They mentioned about if you leave a guild, you're going to get, am I right? Every time you make a donation to the guild, you'll get points. And then if you leave or you get kicked out, you are going to keep 90% of that. Did you see
I think
that?
that was right.
Yeah, so it's guild points is what it's called. You will be able to take 90% of the guild points if you leave a guild, and we'll be getting some new buildings, and they're going to require some additional assets to be staked to level up. I think there was some talk around card packs, and I don't remember what else was discussed as being potential items, assets to be staked. I know in the past, Aggie and Matt had mentioned the Splinter Talk token as being a potential asset to gain in-game utility. Maybe that's going to be a piece moving forward. Anything that I'm missing, Hep? Was there something you?
No, I think that's sounds right. Yeah, the idea that you have to stake other assets to level up guild buildings, I thought was interesting. An interesting requirement. It'll be interesting to see if when they say you have to stake packs, are you going to have to stake? Is staking a certain type of pack going to be a requirement, or will it be certain packs are weighted more than others? Right. That's probably the more likely that your alpha packs or beta packs or untamed packs will have a different sort of something that can do production points that we see with cards. But is it going to be a requirement that you have to have at least one alpha beta pack or one untamed pack in a building to level it up? That would be interesting because there's still a lot of those packs out there in the market. So it could drive demand for some of those. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they develop that further. I thought that was a really interesting part of the town hall, that everything, they feel like they devoted as much time to that, but the whole time he was talking about it, I was still kind of thinking about what we had just gone over. So it was kind of hard to focus on anything else after the first part, but they did kind of try to move on from it to go on to some other interesting stuff that I thought maybe would have gotten more attention, and if it had been placed in another town hall.
I wonder. So when will those rules come in regarding getting the points for your guild? It can't backdate, right? I can imagine.
They could backdate it, right? Because it keeps a tally of, but I don't know if that happens if you leave, like if you leave a guild and then go,
yeah.
I don't know if it keeps a tally. Like, because I mean, I've been in Risen for basically the whole time. I guess pretty much the whole time I was in the game. So it has my contribution levels in there, so they could do something like that where they convert that into the guild points, and I could take it when I leave.
Yeah,
as long as you whatever you currently have, they might be able to convert, but you probably won't be able to get guild points for. You guys probably wouldn't be able to. Maybe not. Maybe they don't keep track of what you donated to previous guilds that you were in before.
Yeah, I feel like. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we'll definitely see an upturn in donations for sure. I think now that people know that, that value will remain with them. And I assume it will transfer to their new guild. Is that right? It must do,
yes.
If you take it with you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really, yeah. I can imagine people not being so reluctant to donate now.
Or is it going to be a thing where guild leaders are saying, no, everybody's got to give me? I mean, some guilds have our guild has dues. I think YGG probably has dues as well. Are people going to say, no, you got to give me more in dues, and one person or one account will be the one who makes the donation, so you can make sure that stuff stays and you don't have big chunks of your buildings leaving randomly.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I would imagine that, kind of to your earlier point, Hep, I would imagine that they would apply the backdated association of guild points only if it could be applied to everybody. Otherwise, I think they would probably just establish it as a on a moving forward basis. It seems like that it's cleaner. It makes the most sense. There's, it's a new mechanic being introduced to the game, and for some folks to better, like with YGG, the Brawlers group, for example, for the longest time we're a group of 6 guilds, and for the longest time only one of the guilds had access to the Bloodstones, Power Stones. So we would, each of the other 5 guilds would see members pop into Asgard and buy the stones and pop back in. And, does that reset your guild points? Does that, it's an interesting one to see how it kind of pans out. But it does feel like everything before and after the staked SPS was just kind of swept under the rug. I don't even remember what the question and answer section entailed. Usually that's where I focus most of my attention in town halls. But so good stuff coming down the pipeline. Is there anything in particular you fellas are looking forward to more than others? I know we've got GLG coming before too long. Soulkeep Tower Defense game is coming before too long. Land 1.5 should be here in the next 5-6 weeks. What's on the radar for you, Wascal? What are you most excited for?
Yeah, I haven't invested anything into the other games, just what I have staked, and I still think the GLS will take off. I do. But for the others, I'm not too sure. But yeah, just land, man. I think land is I've got my guys prepped. Got my eyes. I was kind of thinking to get another piece of land, just another common. But then I just that devil in my ear, in my head, just telling me something about magic. I don't know, something like that. So but I don't know the prices, man. I was hoping they would drop, but they don't seem to be dropping. Common, last time I looked, I saw something for 45.
Wow.
I don't know, man. I just think you can't go wrong with $45, surely. Even if you just get the basic monsters on there, level 1, I don't know. Just get something going on there and keep it for a rainy day. Drop those soulbound cards on it, or even sell it. Who knows, man? But I think $45 is a steal. But yeah, like I was going to ask as well, like with potions, I probably should look into this more. But with potions, is it only on magical land you can get potions, or is that determined by the what's it called? The totem?
Do you mean like items and spells? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I have no idea. I assumed that all of those things could be created through resources that are farmed on any piece of land, but I could be like, because I would imagine there's magical items and spells, right? So maybe you'll just need magical resource to create those. I don't know. Had you heard something more specific either direction there?
I believe from what I read in the land white paper, their plan, and I'm sure this is subject to change, is that when we are able to finally mint cards, magic will be required to mint all cards. And I believe essence, which you can only obtain from occupied territories, will also be required to mint all cards. I believe that's what's in the white paper off the top of my memory. Because I remember seeing that and saying, "Wow, that's pretty serious." Because especially with occupied, it's there's not a high percentage drop rate for that. So, I believe the cards you'll have to build them out of the other materials, and then to go through some magic process that requires magic and essence from the occupied land, and that's how you get the final minting. I'm sure there's a lot that is going to be left to work out we're a long way away from that. So I'm sure it's all just kind of guesswork at this point. But that's what I remember reading.
Mm.
Yeah, I think land is definitely the one that's excites me the most as we move forward. Just I know it's going to be a slow process, but yeah, long term, I just excited about that. But have you guys got all your monsters ready to go and your DEC? Nope.
Nope.
Have you thought how many times have you considered selling your occupied land, Hep? Have you
0 times?
Oh, nice.
I mean, it's just a common occupied. If it was something like a rare, maybe not even a rare, if it was a legendary occupied or something like that, I would probably do it, or at least consider it. Or an epic, because that's pretty serious. Certainly wouldn't be worried about SBS staking requirements if I could sell one of those. Yeah, those are sold for pretty serious money, so I would consider that. But yeah, with just the common, I'd much rather kind of see where it goes, and like you said, have it be long term. I mean, it's very lucky. I feel very lucky that I got it. It'll allow me, like say, if I get some wood somewhere, it'll allow me to be able to know that I'll have a certain level of self-sufficiency across all resources, because I do have the 2 magics as well. So and then somewhere on the river, and then we have all those canyons and calderas and stuff. So we've got all this, everything. I have everything but wood right now to be able to have every element to make whatever we eventually end up being able to make. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do, is maybe try to get to that at least somewhat self-sufficiency. But yeah, I do not have. I mean, I keep buying. I keep buying cards cheap. Yeah, like I said, I was looking at that spirit miner I got the other day. That I got that on a good buy. I should have bought the Lord Aranthus too, because he's bounced even higher than the spirit miner has, but I definitely pulled the trigger at the right time on that spirit miner. So I'm happy about that card.
Nice.
Yeah, to answer your question, I'm very ill prepared for the coming of land. I've got monsters for maybe half of the lands. I've been slowly kind of stacking gold foils where I can. I've sniped a couple good deals on some beta era cards, trying to get one for each of the lands that I've got. DEC is where the more significant hole is. I'm a few 100,000 DEC shy of where I should be. It's a good time to be buying DEC. I think a lot of folks, a month ago would have told you DEC's new floor is what is it, 90 Splintoshis, but we're back down to 82, 83. So it seems like we've got a pretty solid floor there. It doesn't seem to have as much as I've
84.
as much as I've been keeping an eye on it the last couple of weeks, it doesn't seem to have dipped below that 82, 83 mark.
Where is all the DC? Like, because they're not giving that as rewards for any liquidity pools anymore, right?
No.
So is it just people who have had it and are just selling it off? You think is like the team that probably has a ton of it that's selling it off? Because like, where's the downward pressure on DEC coming from? Because if they're not releasing any more into supply, yeah, I guess maybe people thinking that buying it every time it's under 90 and selling it every time it's over 90 causing it. But yeah, I mean, just feels like with people trying to get it for land, and as much as all this stuff requires DEC for in the game, I'm surprised that we are seeing as much movement in it as we are.
I with 1.5 coming out in the next 6 weeks, I 100% expect that to creep back above 90% before too long.
It crept below. It was like 78 only about 4 days ago, but then it just bumped.
I missed that.
Oh, that, yeah, I think that, yeah.
I mean, we also have to consider that DECB is getting more utility across the game also. So folks, may have gone a little hard in DECB and are not buying DEC as much as they've needed in the past because they're able to spend DECB on certain in-game transactions. But yeah, I'm right there with both of you guys. I think land is certainly what I'm most excited for. I hope GLG takes off and we see some cool stuff with that. Tower defense has kind of been a footnote on my radar for as long as it's been on the radar, period. That's not something I'm super pumped about. But
I like tower defense games, and I kind of want to be able to get my stuff together for land too. I would, when that game starts getting going, I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I would love to see, kind of how it works. And yeah, it is going to be like a play to earn game as well, right? I'd love to see what I don't know if any of the tokenomics are. I have not looked into this at all. So I don't know if any of the information on the tokenomics or whatever they're going to do is going to be out there. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I've kind of thought this before, that this, the game we're playing right now on Splinterlands might not be the best thing for the game. That's in the game Splinterlands game ecosystem. 5-6 years from now, and hopefully, they do develop some other cool games using the same assets. And I understand it's just kind of like staking cards in the tower defense to give your tower some boost, so you're not totally, you still have to buy other cards too. But it'd be really fun to have a game that was just the same game, but with just the same cards, but a whole different kind of gameplay, which I think we'll get eventually down the road. And I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing what that is. To me, one of the most exciting things I think is going to be the next level of gameplay that comes out. But yeah, like you said, Wasco, once we can get to able to like long-term land, once we were able to mint our own NFTs with those cards, I think that's going to be it's going to be big for everybody. So
yeah, we think we just have to it's just a ride, isn't it? You just have to kind of, like we said before, just trust in the team. And everyone knows what their goal is, right? They just want to, do the best for this community, and peace, prosperity, and freedom. We've mentioned it many times before, and if you still, for me, there's no reason not to continue to believe in that vision. And I just, it's just tough, isn't it, to kind of see it when you hear certain news, but it's just how you view it, right? Even the news last week about that arcade colony, is it the arcade colony that even that can, you go into certain Discord channels and that is just met with derision. So it's just how you view it, right? And for me, it's just pluses all around. So I feel like nothing's changed for me, unless maybe just the amount of people that are kind of leaving the game. That could be a problem, but I don't know. I still think there's a good core people here that are in it for the long term as well. They've invested maybe too much for it not to be.
All right. Well, anything else we want to touch on before we start wrapping things up?
I would love to get Wascal's advice for me in this co-host chair. What advice would you give yourself when you first started, or what do you think I need to know moving forward here, Wascal?
I would say
I feel like you're teeing him up for some jabs there, Hep.
Yeah, you can message me privately on Discord later. Okay.
You know what I found really useful is just kind of having like whoever's coming on, just having a good just researching about them. I found that really useful, and that was and I was able to kind of think of questions a lot easier than winging it. I'm not really a man of words, big words, but I would just delve in, spend an hour or so, couple of hours, just kind of seeing what they were doing. I found some good nuggets that if I hadn't have, done that, we wouldn't have kind of gone down the roads, or I wouldn't have gone down the roads with some of the guests that we did go down. So yeah, I think that's one sage advice I would say. But yeah, apart from that, just I don't know what you will be doing in that, but yeah, just there is a little bit of time to put in, and it's just kind of finding the balance. But and number one should be up top list. Just enjoy it, man. It's kind of it's a great community. You're able to speak with some amazing people, amazing minds that were definitely above my my level at times. But I just it was just really fascinating journey. But yeah, I would love to kind of come back on, and if time permits it, just no guarantees at this point, but yeah, I'd love to kind of hop on and chat with you guys, and a few months down the road, if possible, it'd be great.
Well, I think we pretty much wind down every show, Wascal. You've been there for all of them with an open invitation for, the mic is always going to be on for you, bro. We never would have pursued this podcast without you putting the idea out into the universe, and here we are a year later. I think we've created a pretty cool little passion project as a result, and I hope that Hep and I will continue to do the podcast and the community justice and in bringing the stories to life, man.
Yeah, I know, definitely. I have no doubt about that. I think also it was really nice as well, like hearing lots of the positive comments we received. And we mentioned it on our first episode with you, Hep, as well. You were our first fanboy, but honestly, it was really important just to hear that, because like then you just know you kind of. And to be honest, I was like quite taken aback and surprised, and I've listened to a couple of the YGG streams. It was usually straight after our podcast, and Tails was always bigging us up, Walking Keys and Aftersound. So yeah, definitely hearing those guys appreciate the podcast was very touching. So yeah, just want to thank all the community for all their support during this time. It was muchly appreciated, if that's a word. It is now.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a man of big words, but you're definitely a man of made up words, Kieran. Oh shoot, man. Well, like I said when we were kicking this thing off, man, I personally, I want nothing but the best for you and the family, and I'm excited for what's coming down the pipeline for you, dude. Hopefully we are able to get you back on at some point, and like I said, man, the microphone will always be on for you, brother.
Cheers, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, good luck, guys, with the podcast. If I can help anyway, I'll be there, man.
So another quick question. So I'm now out of the running for like the 5-Timers Club jacket, right? Because you get to, like as a cast member, it's only as a guest. So
you'll be there next week.
Wascal, you'll be our first 5-timer, hopefully. Wascal. I'll get you a nice jacket.
You got, was it 3 times, right?
Yeah.
All right, Wascal, let's take us home, bro. Let's get that signature Queen's English sign off, bro.
And, okay, for all of you listening, and I mucked it up.
Man, 2 weeks off and you're already rusty, bro. What's going on?
And for all of you listening out there, you have been listening to
People's Guild.